As we know, Donald Trump's campaign lawyers are absolutely unhinged, but Joe diGenova, who's one of those lawyers, took things a little further when he advocated for essentially executing people who essentially tell the American people the truth about this election and how there was not widespread voter fraud. So in this next video, he specifically talks about former cybersecurity official Christopher Krebs. Let's hear what he had to say.
Anybody who thinks that this election went well, like that idiot Krebs, who used to be the head of cybersecurity.
Oh, yeah, the guy that was on 60 Minutes last night.
That guy is a Class A moron. He should be drawn and quartered, taken out at dawn and shot.
So that happened. He said that openly during a radio show interview. And then later, Christopher Krebs did respond to these threats. And so let's take a listen to what he had to say.
How concerned are you about comments like that?
You know, it's certainly more dangerous language, more dangerous behavior. And the way I look at it is that we're a nation of laws. And I plan to take advantage of those laws. I've got an exceptional team of lawyers that win in court, and I think they're probably going to be busy.
You feel like there's legal action that might arise from comments like that?
We're taking a look at all our available opportunities. I'm not going to give them the benefit of knowing how I'm reacting to this. They can know that there are things coming though.
So it seems as though diGenova took note of the legal action that Christopher Krebs is planning on taking, and he immediately backpedaled the exact way that you would think someone associated with Trump or Trump himself would backpedal. He said this: "For anyone listening, it was obvious my remarks were sarcastic and made in jest. I of course wish Mr. Krebs no harm. This was hyperbole in a political discourse."
Wait. Was it joking or was it hyperbole? Because those are slightly different things.
He was being serious, we all know that.
But you guys saw the tape. If you want, you're all on platforms where you can rewind. You can listen to it again. And there was no clarification afterwards. So sometimes when I make an analogy, I will tell you, look guys, it's just political, it's not physical, right? He didn't do anything along those lines. He didn't laugh, Howie Carr didn't laugh, no one laughed, and no one clarified, and no one said it was just an analogy or a metaphor. They just said, oh yeah, take him out at dawn and shoot him. And then they moved on. And he was never challenged on that because the right-wing leadership have all lost their minds. So, I mean, if somebody on this show said, hey, I think that we should start taking out people and shooting them in the streets, I would object. I would say, no, that's a terrible idea, right? To them, it's not even noteworthy. Oh yeah, let's shoot people, let's execute people. Wiles, this other evangelical pastor, started talking about how cowboys and mountain men need to go and start rounding people up. He said that Trump is now trying to bring back the firing squad, which is true, by the way. And he said it's to execute the politicians, scientists, and professors who are working with communist China to help Joe Biden defeat Trump. We need to execute them. So now this is just being said all over the place with no consequence. Now this actually, I'm surprised he mentioned his lawyers because that's civil, right? No, this is a criminal issue. You can't threaten someone's life like that on air. And he was, Wiles at least just said generically, I'd like to kill scientists and professors and Democrats. diGenova named the person. That's definitely a crime. You can't threaten to murder someone on air, that's crazy. And so, I don't know, are we a country of laws? Is there gonna be any action against diGenova? Or are we all just used to like, oh yeah, Republicans starting to murder people, it's not a big deal. We just move on with our lives. No, we don't move on. No, if you move on, what's gonna happen is somebody's gonna take him up on it. And that's what we're all really, really worried about. So we've got to get back to actually having rule of law and not just, hey, if Trump or his cronies do it, it's not illegal by definition because they're the dictators. And then let's arrest all of our political opponents who actually didn't do anything. That's not rule of law. That's just tyranny. And that's a tyranny we've been living under for 4 years. And now they've just reached a tipping point here. And I think that's part of the reason, and I'm probably being too generous here, but Bill Barr and some of the Republican leadership decided today that no, Trump, you're done, man. There was no voter fraud. There's no evidence of it, you're done. But either way, this specific issue has to be addressed. This is not a random person. It's one of Trump's lawyers threatening to execute someone. There's no end to how insane that is.
And we already know that we've had situations of right-wing gang members showing up to protests, for instance, and carrying out shootings, murdering people, and then you have the right wing essentially apologizing for them, not apologizing for them, but making excuses for that type of criminal behavior. And there are, of course, other former Trump administration, federal employees who have decided to step out of that world and actually serve as whistleblowers, because the Trump administration has been so disastrous when it comes to certain constitutional rights, human rights. We've all talked about this stuff quite a bit. And so Miles Taylor was one of those people, right? He was the one who wrote the anonymous op-ed in the New York Times about Donald Trump. He later decided to leave the administration and serve as a whistleblower. And he himself has said that he's needed to move at least 10 different times in order to protect his own life, because the Trump sycophants are going after him so aggressively and threatening his life. And I believe him because we've seen the type of actions Trump supporters take. So the reason why I'm giving you that context, and I went on that tangent, is because words matter, and diGenova's words certainly matter when he wasn't joking, he was absolutely being serious. No one was joking around, no one was laughing. And people are gonna hear that and think, oh, well, this is a lawyer who's greenlighting something that people should do against a political opponent.
Yeah, so today, Georgia's voting systems manager, Gabriel Sterling, came out and said, this has to stop. Now, almost every major elected Republican official in Georgia are receiving death threats. And yes, you heard that right, Republican elected officials are, because Trump and all of his cronies are yelling at the top of their lungs, they cheated, they worked with Hugo Chavez and Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. So it's Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, and Rafsan Perjur, the Secretary of State, and all of them, they cheated. So they're all getting death threats now. It's hey, death threats, not just for Democrats anymore. So now that it's affecting Republicans, finally people are beginning to notice and maybe the beginning of taking action. But the right-wing militia in this country is totally out of control and totally egged on by this clown, crazy, literally crazy president that we have, still screaming that he won and that Biden cheated with the Venezuelans and the Chinese. Totally nuts. By the way, one last thing, and this is a rando thing, I get it, right? It's anecdotal. But on social media, I put a comment about how diGenova threatened to murder this guy. And some right winger, and this is just summarizing. A lot of the right wingers are like, yeah, so what, so what, so what? And this one guy's like, oh, you guys do looting and rioting anyway. We're just better at the violence.
Wow.
So it's gotten so bad, they think it's perfectly normal to say we're better at violence and we're gonna start doing it. So if they don't put an end to it right now by taking actual legal action and get the authorities to actually do their job and protect people in this country, Democrats and Republicans, it's gonna spin completely out of control.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.